And I am live. I am live. Hello, people. I'm bigger now. There we go. How is everybody doing? Live from the Toughsheet Community Stadium, Bolton Wanderers versus Luton Town. Massive, massive day ahead. Right across League One, in all fairness, there are 5 different clubs all vying for 3 spots in the playoffs alongside Bolton Wanderers, who thankfully have got their position nice and secure. But I thought I'd try out my new microphone for starters. And I thought I would try out the live streaming as well for the YouTube channel, which has been fantastic so far. And just thought I'd have a little chat about what could be coming up now this afternoon, because obviously Bolton have got their playoff place sorted. It would be lovely if they could finish in the top 3, as in third. It would be lovely if they can get home advantage for that second leg. Statistically, that is worth 2.5% extra chance of winning and getting through to Wembley. It's not bad odds. I'd take them. Any gain is a good one at this stage of the season. But I think that Bolton, as Stephen Schumacher talked about in the press conference this week, I think Bolton have been the third best team in the division. You can't take anything away from Lincoln. They've been frighteningly consistent this season, and the way that they've played has been hugely effective. Cardiff have swaggered. They've stumbled at times, but they've certainly found that consistency when they really did need it. And I think they deserve to be second spot. Bolton have drawn too many games. There's no question about that. But at the moment, they're playing okay. And I think this 7-game run that we all looked at and wondered, that would be a true test of character, of mentality, of the squad quality in general. I think that has now kind of turned into, a decent run of results, really, for Wanderers. We are now live on Facebook. We are live on the YouTube. It's telling me that Twitter isn't live. That's a bit of a disappointment, but we'll just stick to this 2 first. Let's baby steps. I've only been doing YouTube for a week. Let's not get too excited. But yes, first of all, let's talk about what the teams may be today. Team news: Sam Dalby unlikely to feature today. Bolton's top goal scorer. He obviously has had an ankle issue, has been a bit of a concern for Wanderers. And there was a bit of debate about whether they would risk him. He went to see a specialist. He's been told he can go back into training, but there were a few kind of associated issues. He's been maybe favouring that ankle a little bit. Got a bit of a knee, got a bit of a calf issue last week. So they wanted to make sure that he'd be okay. And that's where we're at now with Sam Dalby. He should be back for the playoffs. Jordi Osei-Tutu should be back today after his suspension for the red card against Huddersfield. So theoretically, he goes in on the right side of defence unless Cyrus Christie keeps hold of his place. I think Cyrus Christie played quite well last time out at Bradford. He's got that experience, but I just wonder against a team like Luton, whose chief asset really is pace out wide. That could well be Jordi Osei-Tutu's calling, really. I've got my comment facility on, and excitingly. Hi, Graham. How you doing? Looks all professional when you get the comments flowing in as well. So I have no problem with that. That's excellent. So Jordi, I would say, is probably a likelihood. Ethan Errahun has been back in training. I would doubt, to be honest, whether that is going to be soon enough for him to come straight into the team today. Zav Simons was on the bench last week, of course. Ruben Rodriguez and Josh Sheehan have been occupying those 2 central roles. And, I think they've done it very, very well. I think given that Josh Sheehan is definitely happier as a ball player, we know that. We've seen him for long enough. Rodriguez is quite similar, possibly more box-to-box, a little bit more dynamic. Josh likes to dictate the tempo of the play. I think the 2 of them have worked quite well, and defensively they've done okay for Bolton. Just the one day, I think, in Cardiff where it looked to have maybe come a cropper. But no, I think overall very pleased with the way that those 2 have done. So I don't think that Stephen Schumacher will feel in any massive panic to get Errahun or to get Simons back in there. Maybe Kyle Dempsey. that would be another option today. He's been kind of in and out the last few weeks, hasn't he? Hello to Zubair. How you doing? Another comment. All good. So aside from that, I mean, obviously Johnny Kenny is a given up front. Mason Burstow, I think last week did himself a lot of favours. Ibrahim Sissoko last week, probably his best game in a Bolton Wanderers shirt. We've been speaking to him this week about changes that he's made off the pitch. He's sharpened up his diet. He's done a bit more gym work. And that seems to be paying some dividends. Whether that is kind of soon enough now for him to earn a deal at Bolton, because that's been the plan all along, that he really wanted to stay at Bolton. We will wait and see. I don't know, if I'm honest. I personally, do I think he's done enough over the course of the season to earn a deal? Probably not. But if he came up with the goods in these next couple of weeks, where one goal could turn him into a legend, then we shall see. We have got a few more comments popping up, and it's very nice to see them. Some hellos. Hello. And somebody who likes the content. We are doing our very, very best. We are trying our very, very best. And it's just nice to say hello to people sometimes, put some faces to names. But yeah, I think is Thierry Gale possibly an option on the left-hand side for Sissoko? Depends potentially on how the fullbacks fare. I think Gale is more. I think he's quicker. I think Sissoko's certainly no slouch. But I think that Gale, if there is any sort of weakness on that side for Luton, that Gale possibly might get the nod. But Sissoko definitely in the form of his Bolton career, and as I say, it's all done and designed in the frame of mind that he wants to stay at the club. Interested to know what you think about the loanees. Actually, the music's just kicked in, so hopefully you'll still be able to hear me. Will the loanees earn a deal at Bolton? Will Bolton be convinced to sign the Mason Burstows, or to try and sign Mason Burstow, Sissoko being one of them? I think, let's be realistic, Mario Kojudubri is well and truly out of their price range. But if Bolton were to get promoted, can they convince Brighton to send him there again? Stranger things have happened. We've certainly heard that Brighton are potentially looking at continental loans for Dubry next season. So, we shall see. I mean, you're not wrong. The Wi-Fi this season, has been better for the press. I know the public Wi-Fi is still a big no-no here, and phone reception is dodgy, but the press Wi-Fi, touch wood, has not been the worst. We've not struggled too badly. Minimum 6 goals. I would love, I'd love that to be the case. Blackett-Taylor, of course, is the other one. Yes, very good point made there. Blackett-Taylor, obviously, slightly out of sight, out of mind, in as much as he's picked up that injury. Marcus Force as well. I think, for me, Blackett-Taylor showed in his kind of short stint that he's probably good enough to go and play for Bolton, especially if Bolton were to get into the Championship. I think that bit of experience would be good. And Derby look like they probably would do a deal. With Force, he's another one who's stuck around, even though he's injured and not going to be playing this season. I think that probably does hint at the possibility that Bolton are thinking about that. I don't think it would happen if they stayed down in League One, but again, Force has got a lot of experience at Championship level, and if you can get him fit and firing, he's a good one to have around because he can play in all those attacking positions. Not done enough for you, Sai Burstow? I mean, obviously he had that fallow period, didn't he? Just November onwards time, and he went through a long spell not scoring goals. But I think potentially he's come back, and he's back at that sort of level he was there. And he's played a slightly different role. We saw him last week playing just in behind Johnny Kenny. There's been some debate on social media as to whether or not you can classify him as a number 10. I'm not getting into that, but I certainly would rather see him affecting things in the middle of the pitch than out on the right-hand side, and I get the feeling that he would do too. But for me, Burstow's another one who can finish strong and really kind of try and force that issue. I don't think it would be a cheap thing to do, but I do think that Hull, in the situation they're in, are not looking to bring him back and to take him on again. So there is a deal to be done. But I think Mason Burstow has proven in his time at Bolton, his numbers are good. So I don't think he'd have any problems finding a club at League One or even possibly Championship level. Whenever we do these streams, we always end up talking about Wi-Fi and phone signal. I'm not sure they can necessarily. I don't know. It's a concrete bowl. I mean, ultimately, people that know a lot more about these things than I do tell me that football stadia in general are just nightmares because they're just big concrete bowls with steel and stuff that gets in the way of phone signals. It is a nightmare sometimes when you're in my business. But actually, like I say, this season, it's behaved itself a little bit. A 1-0 win. Of course, I would take a 1-0 win any day of the week, any time, without question, especially today. Luton in such good form. I don't mind the likes of Force, etc. as squad players, but need to be careful regarding the length of contracts and wages with these long-term injuries some of the players have had. Yeah, I think fitness will certainly come into the mindset, won't it? And Blackett Taylor, likewise, I think, him and Force. Yeah, I think you're right in terms of length of contracts. I mean, the policy for Bolton has been to try and buy younger players, and Burstow would definitely fall into this, but younger players on longer contracts so that they retain value for longer. You could also argue that's a slightly risky business because they don't all work out. We've had a couple this season. Richard Taylor's not really had a go in the first team at all, and he was on a longer deal. There's been other examples. John McAtee, you could probably argue that he hasn't necessarily, filled in what we expected from him. He's been in and out this season, but he is back now, and hopefully, I still think I will still say until my dying day that John McAtee is due a moment. He is going to score a goal, an important goal for Bolton Wanderers. I will go on the record that is going to happen. Another left back in the summer transfer window. I think we're going to be talking about this, pretty much all summer. Look, today is a real acid test for that department, really. Morris, Luton's right-sided attacker, is absolutely rapid. Can't do 90 minutes, but for 60 minutes, he's like an Olympic sprinter. And if George Johnson is to play there today, he's going to have to play well. Whether you would look at Max Conway and accept that there are limitations to both of them there, I don't know. But I think with Max Conway, Bolton are in a position where they've given him this full season. He's played well. He is a pure asset. I would hate for that to kind of lessen, or for next season for him to be cast aside. I think they've got to bring him on. I think they've got to put some faith in him. Johnston is doing a job there. My thoughts. I think he's a centre half playing left back. Sometimes players will do that job for a manager and accept that they're going to get criticised at times for it because they're not absolutely ideal for that job, and that's the way he's just had to take that on the chin, Jono. And it tells a bit about his character. I think that he will go and do that job for the team and for his manager. I do think he also gets overly criticised at times that maybe doesn't deserve some of the stuff that does get spread around, but there's always one. Henry Fancam, well, that'd be in Spain today. I think he's sunning himself. But we have got Sam Burtonwood, who is our YouTube ambassador, I think is his official title. But Sam is going to be out and about with his cameras today and then for the playoff games. Yeah, sorry, Jack Dearden is beckoning me for some apparent reason. He can wait. Sam Burtonwood will be around with his cameras. I think he's going to go into the fan zone beforehand. And he's a young man who's really passionate about content creation. and obviously Bolton Wanderers, which is fantastic for us. And he's agreed to help us with some of the stuff we're doing for YouTube. I'm hoping to put together bits, talky bits from myself, bits with Sam, footage, etc., and to create something akin to kind of like a game day video, a bit of behind the scenes stuff, a bit of fan footage. Obviously, we can't show the stuff that's out on the pitch there because that would contravene certain licenses and would, well, basically get shut down. Don't really want that. I've only just started. So, yes, we are looking at lots of different things for YouTube. We started it with this few games in mind, and hopefully, fingers crossed, touch wood, Wembley, just because that's a nice little kind of sandbox, little trial time for us. We can see what works, see what doesn't work. But yeah, let me know what is working, what isn't working, what do you want to see, and we can all have a think about it, because I am properly on a learning curve with this. Don't worry about it. Not an expert on these things. Here we go. Another comment. Do you think he'll rest players today ahead of the playoffs? Well, I think Dolby counts as a rest. I think that's fair. I think Dolby is, if this were a must-win game, I think Dolby would strap himself up and play that game. So that probably does count again. And I think with Simons, with Erhan, these are players that if they, real push came to shove, they probably could go out there and get the game. So they are being sensible. And I think some credit, we do talk quite a bit about, people that are always injured, and certainly for the last few years, that has been a recurring thing for Bolton, that people are questioning training, recovery, all sorts of stuff. But I think that the sports science and the medical team this season have done a marvellous job. Bolton have kept most players fit. You're always going to pick up something, but I think, Bolton's robustness this season has gone up a real level. Spitfire plane going above me there, it sounds like, anyway. Let's have another one. He says, trying desperately. There you go. Mackerel scored the winning goal at Wembley, if we get that. See, that's what I believe. I genuinely believe that he is destined to do something big, having not necessarily done anything big so far, if you know what I mean. 3-2 to Bolton today. Luton will be up for this. Going to see a few goals. I totally agree with you, Craig. Yes, I think this is going to be a goal-scoring game. Whether Bolton come out on the right side of it. I was speaking to one of my YouTube opposite numbers, I suppose you call them, but Luton streamer yesterday, and he thinks it's going to be 2-1 Bolton. But there's no way on earth there's going to be a clean sheet today. Not a chance. Not a chance. People are too harsh on Max. His first full season at League One level. It isn't his fault. Taylor wasn't the answer, and Max had to play more. I certainly haven't come out of this season thinking he's had a bad time of it. I think he's been very positive. I think he's got a lot out of it. Yes, he's had to step out a little bit. They've had to protect him a little bit in the last couple of months with Johnson stepping across there. But I think some of that has been to do with the way they're kind of building. And you notice when Bolton do get the ball, Johnson will come in as a third centre half, and Jordi Osei-Tutu will then push up, and so you get an extra man in midfield. So you probably wouldn't be able to do that with Conway. So I think it's as much there's a tactical element to it as well. It's not just a case of, hey, Johnson can go in there. It's not the ideal one. Yes, you're quite right with Taylor. Hasn't worked out. We'll see what happens with him in the summer. But I can't see a particularly great future for him at the moment at Bolton Wanderers. Just hasn't happened. Sometimes that does happen. But yeah, I think as I said before, I think we are going to be talking about that left-hand side quite a bit this summer. And Max has got, he's got to step up. He's got to show he can progress as well, because you can't just stand still. And if Bolton do get into the Championship, which is what we all want, then yeah, he's going to have to show he can do it at that level as well. Play Max over George, says David. I don't think you'd be completely alone in that view, but we shall see. Good evening from Thailand. Very nice. Very good evening. It feels weird. I've still got the taste of bacon butty in my mouth. Yes, thankfully, there is only one. Thankfully. Or else otherwise, I'll tell you what, my bosses would have a nightmare. Rest players, says Craig. Well, as I say, I think they are being sensible. I don't think they're going to be rushing anybody. I don't think, in the past we've paid dearly for it, haven't we? Let's face it, especially in the playoffs. You think back to that Oxford game, and Santos was not at his best. Dion Charles wasn't at his best. They were both carrying big injuries going into those games. Toll has had those moments as well. What else was there? Obviously, Magoma was kind of left out there. He got clattered very early on in that game, and that then became a problem. Look, I think Bolton this season deserves some credit because I think that has improved. I think the way that they've managed the players, the way they've rotated the players, doesn't always look great for the fans. I think, the whole don't change a winning team, etc., etc. I get it. I totally get it. And, I certainly sit here with people like Keith Hill who raises his eyebrows sometimes. It's like, oh, why is there, so many changes? But it has allowed these players to reduce the overall workload, and they're coming into this. There's not as many injuries being carried. They look fresher. They've managed to go 90 minutes plus for how long? So many times, so many late goals. So I think sometimes you just got to take your cap off and say, yeah, fair play. You've done a decent job there. So let's have a look. We've got more comments, but do you know what? This computer doesn't like scrolling. It doesn't like scrolling at all. There we go. There's Ben. Is it Ben? Brian. Apologies. Brian says, Max Conway's been a revelation, to be honest, this season. He was consistent for the first 6 months. Maybe played too much considering it's his first league. Exactly. I think they've just protected him is all they've done. And I think he's looked fresh sometimes when he's came on the pitch, and a couple of times here at the Toughsheet added that sort of extra bit of quality. And also something that I haven't appreciated until this season about Max is technically how good he is at spotting that pass. And with the pace that Bolton have got up front, I think that has been a really big weapon for him coming in and doing that. He can definitely spot a pass. Very decent player, I think, Max Conway. Listening to Luton fans, they're definitely going to target the left side. Well, yeah. It's certainly something that we have discussed quite a bit this week. But look, we shall see. We shall see if that is the key. It's not something new. We've been talking about it for several weeks, and it's all right saying you're going to do it, but you've actually got to do it. We shall see. Morris is definitely a quick fella, though. I don't think I fancy marking him myself. 3-1, says Brian. And do you know what? 6-6. I wonder who the last player to score 6-6 was. It probably is Michael Ricketts. The answer to everything is Michael Ricketts. If you're in a quiz and you've got a Bolton question, I reckon a good percentage of the time, if you just answered Michael Ricketts, it would be the right one. I think Conway would be the best suited to start, so he can match the pace of Morris, bringing Jono on at 70 minutes. Yeah, makes sense to me. I get it. Loving all the new content. Watching all the way from Melbourne, Australia. The game will start at midnight here. Oh, good grief! It's like when I stay up and watch the WrestleMania with the kids, and it knocks me out for 3 days. It's a nightmare. Well done with the YouTube, Mark. Bloody cracking time. Thank you very much, David. Much appreciated. We're trying. Will the YouTube and more content be over pre-season? Would like more content to fill the Bolton hole, especially pre-season tour announcement for Slovakia. Are you looking forward to that, Mark? I can exclusively reveal I am looking forward to that. Yes, Bratislava. I've had the thumbs up from our place. To answer your question, yes. I mean, there will be lots of YouTube content, lots and lots of YouTube content. We're keeping this going as a going concern. I'm desperate to first of all get to the 1,000 subs. That's the first target we've got. I wanted to get to 500 by the playoffs, and it looks like I'm going to manage to do that, which is fantastic. But I would ideally, by the time We're back next season, be on 1,000, and to be on a level where the company can see that this is kind of paying for itself and that it's worth the time and effort. At the minute, it's a bit of a labor of love. It's a bit of a one-man show, but it's the more I do it, the easier it's going to be. Yes, to answer your question, there will be lots more content, and we're going to try lots of different things as well. So, get hold of me on social media, get hold of me via email, etc. If there's something you've spotted elsewhere that you think, hey, that could go well with Bolton, then please let me know, because I am definitely open to suggestions. Comparing the first team and bench of that Oxford game today just shows how far the squad has developed positively. Exactly. It's interesting. I did something on Facebook a couple of weeks ago that compared the playoff final team with the one you'd probably expect to play today, for example, with Dolby included. And there was a big debate as to which team would win. I honestly do think that this team has a better mentality, has more belief within it. Maybe, I often stick up for the one that lost at Barnsley, for example, the team with Trafford and Bradley. I think that team potentially had, more quality, better players. But it obviously didn't get to the final that year. I think arguably that class of 2023 is the team that I would say would just edge ahead, but don't know. Let me know. I think anything with Traff and Bradley was pretty good, to be fair. Yes, Ibby to keep everybody entertained. Kenny to score first and Amario to score the winner in injury time. Look, I'm not going to start my match report until 89 minutes. I've learned the lesson by now. Peter says, it's crazy sometimes this season. It's been like two different teams. Big performance today, get the momentum rolling. That's the thing, isn't it? I mean, I think once you accept that this team is imperfect, then you can almost make peace with that. We know that today they could throw in an absolute stinker and we all be complaining by next weekend. Yes, they are without question not a perfect team, but I do think they'll be in with a very good shout. I am bordering on confident, and that's a rare one for me. Live friendlies on the YouTube, Mark. Well, David, if you can buy me a load of cameras, some scaffolding, some cameramen, or shall I just sit there with my phone like that? Yes, I think that's a bit beyond me. I'm more than happy to try and film little bits and bobs, but I don't think that's possible, unfortunately. Michael Ricketts was the first person to score 5 games on the trot. You're not wrong. I'd like to know who did 6. Maybe I should get hold of BWFC Stats or Chris. They're normally the people to talk to for that sort of thing. How does this team compare to the one that got promoted 9 years ago? That is a good question. Oh yeah, I mean that's one I hope we can debate in the summer. I think attacking wise, potentially it's got a little bit of an edge. But defensively, when you're talking about, Beavers and Wheats and Andy Taylor and was it Mark Little probably playing right back, I think that was a hell of a team. Hard to beat, very hard to beat. Pratley, Caracan, Alfie, Zach Clough for half the season, Gary Medine. Oh, yeah. I mean, they did it the League One way, and I absolutely take my cap off to Parky that season. There was loads going on off the pitch. It was a tremendous season. Doesn't seem like 5 minutes ago, and yet you say it's 9 years. Big performances. Let's hope the atmosphere is electric and it gives the players that extra 10%. Loads of people due today, 25,000 or so. About 2,500 Luton, and they're selling round the corner. So that's always a good sign for the atmosphere. Best guess scenario for me is Luton and Plymouth both miss out. Plymouth for the long away day and Luton for the form. Yeah, I don't think anybody would be looking forward to Plymouth away, to be fair. I'm not really looking forward to Stevenage, but I've said style-wise, that to me is the perfect playoff because you won't need to guess as to how they're going to play. We know how Stevenage play. I think there is enough flexibility within Stockport to change and adapt. I think Bradford are a good enough team to maybe change and adapt a little bit more, but I think Stevenage, they play to their absolute strengths. And for me, that's a good thing. I know that Bolton will have to go there, grind out, a 0-0, for example, like they did earlier this season. But then at home, it's a different story. I'd be more confident. Famous last words, I know, but it is what it is. I think strikers are out the window, Mark. Yeah, well, stinkers. I thought you said strikers. I'm like, what? Strikers out the window? Yes, stinkers out the window. I think they want it. Honestly, I do. I think that's a very good point. I think the mentality, the team seems very galvanized. It does. They're in a good place. And well, I've certainly seen it unhappier. No one has, according to Google, but that's the 6 in a row. Now, I'd be surprised if Sinat didn't. I haven't got my big Bible here, so I can't prove that, but I'd be surprised if Nat Lofthouse didn't. Or, when you're going back to, a Vizard or a Smith or that kind of thing, that where goals were more plentiful. But we shall see. No matter what league we're in next season, we need a right back as well. I think there's probably remedial work to be done across the back. I think really when you look at all the loanees and the way that the whole squad shapes up, there is a lot of work to be done regardless next season. So be interesting. 3,000 Luton come in. Well, yeah. So the way it looks to my right there on the south stand, I think there'll be half Luton, top and bottom tier. So yeah, roughly about 3,000. And then the other half will be the overspill for Bolton being sold. So it'll look pretty full, I think, today. I think it will be a really good atmosphere. And, if it matches, I certainly was discussing earlier in the week, the atmosphere at Kenilworth Road was absolutely outstanding. That was one of those days where it really kind of caught in that second half and very nearly took the game away from Bolton. Mentality is the biggest positive for me. We can't forget how much this team has changed, starting 11 from last season's final game. Yeah, and it is a totally different team. The odd remnants, obviously, Johnston's here, Sheehan's here, Tolley's still here. But yeah, the vast majority of it is very, very different. Carl Dempsey, another one. And yeah, like I keep saying, I do feel like they are in a good place. But you and I, collective you and I, know that one stinking performance in the playoffs, and we probably go back to moaning and groaning. It'll be lovely today. I think there'll be, the place will be bouncing. I think everybody's happy. Good performance at Bradford, even though it was another draw last week. But I think if they can just keep that simmering, I think they'll be okay. I am confident. It's a weird sensation. I don't know that it'll catch on. Can I say I'm the one that thought Wrexham got Thomas on the cheap? Well, interesting. Yeah, I think everybody was very pleased with the 1.2 memory serves that they got in the summer, particularly as, let's be honest, at that point in time, I don't think Stephen Schumacher necessarily saw George Thompson as his starting midfielder. I think when he was looking at Erhan, got Simons in already. Dempsey was knocking on the door. Obviously, Sheehan is there already. Morley was at the club then as well. So I have to say, I wondered really whether or not Thomason was going to start a lot of games for Bolton this season rather. But he's done fantastically well. I'm really pleased for him. He's found a couple of different positions to play as well. He's a natural left footer, so Phil Parkins has used him at left wing back. He's used him on left side of midfield, and he's this sort of kind of gritty, committed type of character that I know Parky loves. And I've just been watching a little interview with him downstairs. Wish him all the luck today. I hope Wrexham go and smash it and get themselves into the playoffs because yes, I've got a lot of respect for that fella and for Steve Parkin, without question. After today, hopefully massive 3 games, supporters, we need to go up for the sake of the club going forward. Nobody wants to go back to Stevenage, or I might go up, I suppose. I'm trying to think of a mid-table team. I don't want to go back to Wigan, if I'm being brutally honest with you. Bromley to look forward to. I would get to go to Leicester, which would be weird because my wife is a big Leicester fan. That would be strange. But yeah, it's a long time, isn't it? It's been 5 years at League One level, and whilst it was a little bit of a necessity at one stage, it's been it's been difficult. It has been difficult, and I think the club is outgrowing League One. The fan base is back. We can't be having another season of 20-odd thousand average attendance in League One. It would be mad. I'm going to make this one a last one because I've just had a battery flash up on me saying saying warning. I don't want to just cut out. So I'll just answer this one from David. He says, why do you think it hasn't happened for Richard Taylor? Well, he got an injury in pre-season. Now, I watched him against Hibs. He had a really good game against Hibs in pre-season. And I think that, unfortunately, just the timing and the few weeks that he lost there really just got Max Conway in the door. And Max Conway, in his first 2 months, was absolutely undroppable. He was brilliant. So I think that's just what happened. And then it took him... some players struggle to hit the ground running when they come back into a team. He had a couple of cup games, didn't work for him at all, did it? So, yeah, look, he's a very chilled fella. He reminds a bit like Rico. You know, when Rico Santos used to come in, it always took him a while to warm up, and he's just not had that time to warm up. So, do I think the owners want to go up? Yes, of course. Yes. Do you realise what the cash difference is between League One and the Championship? And leave aside the fact that you're going to have to spend more money, but you get a lot more money. Why on earth would you pour 11.2 and then what was it this season? Something 14 million pounds in? Why is that acceptable? It's ridiculous. Why would you want to run a club at a loss of that sort of cash and not want to be in the Championship where you're going to get more TV money, the chance of a Premier League place, you know, broadcasting, sponsorship? There's lots and lots more money available in the Championship. Yes, you do need to invest in the team as well, but you're that bit closer to the Premier League. And let's be completely honest, if I'm Sharon Britton going into the Championship and somebody comes along and says, hey, I want to buy that football club, you can get your money back, no problem, as a Championship club. No problem at all. You're not doing that in League One. So, yeah, I think it's daft. I've heard a few people say, oh, well, you know, they don't want us to go up. It's nonsense. Absolute nonsense. With all respect to the question. I don't mean to be that harsh, but it's a tough one. Going to be a much difficult task next season. If we won't do it, but we will. Well, keep the faith. Keep the faith. Are looking yes, to answer that question, yes, Bolton will be looking at defence. I'm very, very, very sure about that. We mentioned left backs. Somebody's mentioned right backs. I think that will be an area where the Bolton go up or where the Bolton stay in League One. That will be an area without question that they look at in the summer. Right, I am now going to go and finish my cup of tea. I'm going to look at what the press food is, and I'm probably going to record some more stuff because I've got another video to make for YouTube later on. There is going to be end of season awards later on, so I'll be bringing you a bit from that as well. I'm sure we'll do loads of stuff. Here's Marcus. He knows a bit about videos. I'm going to go and get some advice, but I'll see you guys later on.